Cheers, good morning, welcome to Hopefully Here Reading. I am so excited to be doing this video because it's something that I enjoy talking about. It's not a very well-known prize, but we're going to be talking about the Warwick Prize for Women in Translation. I really enjoy this prize, particularly because they actually put out a list, or they give you the list of all the books that have been submitted for this prize. And it is such an incredible resource for finding books in translation, particularly books by women in translation. And just as a reader, I really appreciate that resource, particularly through August, which is Women in Translation Month. I have used it to kind of just browse and see what's out there and what I could use as a potential TBR jumping off point for that month. So there are no firm dates for this prize as far as I know. Currently, the long list is out. The short list is supposed to be out very, very shortly. It could be out today. I'm not sure exactly when. And then the prize, I believe, is end of November-ish. But it's just a prize that I think puts a spotlight on women who are being translated into fiction, or not even fiction, it's just women in translation. And that's the other thing about this prize that I like, is it is all types of works. Poetry, short stories, graphic novels, fiction, nonfiction, anything you can imagine. The author has to be female, the translator does not. Also, it does not necessarily need to be a new book. It has to have been newly translated, but there are some classics on this book from other languages that have only just been translated into English that are on this list, and I find that so interesting. One of the books is one that apparently is a very prolific author where she was from, but has only just been recently translated into English, and I guess is kind of one of those books where people are like, how have we not had this author translated yet? So I'm very excited. There are 14 books on this long list. I have not read any of them, but I do have access to a few of them, so they are now on my TBR. But I just thought, you know what, if you, like me, also enjoy translated fiction, maybe you get some ideas. I will also link their website down below. So if you want to take a look at the submission list and just see what else has been put in, you are more than free to do so. Let's get started. Book number 1, and I do apologize, I have a bunch of stuff written down, so if you're wondering what I'm looking at, it is my writing. We have The Walls Become the World All Around. This is translated from the Swedish, and it is written by Johanna Ekström and translated by Sigrid Rousing. This is a memoir. The story behind this memoir is quite sad, actually. So the author, Johanna, I believe, realized that she was coming to the end of her life and asked her friend, Sigrid, to just make sure that these works got published. And so this is a memoir about friendship and grief, and it has been published, I'm assuming, after Johanna's death. I think that's the story behind it, and I imagine it would be a very emotional read. But if you like memoirs, as a lot of people really do, could definitely be one worth checking out. We have Desiree Congo, written by Evelyn Trulot, and it has been translated by M.A. Salvador from the French. And this is a novel, and it is following the Haitian Revolution. I also really appreciate, when it comes to books in translation, how there are so many different stories in the world that can be told about things that I know nothing about, and all of a sudden they're now accessible to me in a language that I can understand. Like, there are so many key parts of history that I have no idea ever happened, and I find that so interesting as a reader to be able to go into those stories and understand different things and see different cultures and just get a better view of where we are in the world. And so I know nothing about the Haitian Revolution, and so it's definitely something that I think would be an interesting thing to learn about, particularly in a novelization form. And so this is one that I would love to check out at some point. I unfortunately do not have access to this book right now, but I'm going to be keeping my eyes out for it. We have Jin. This is written by Fatma Edemin and has been translated from the German by Jen Choi Polizzi. And I've written something here about this book. Oh, this is a book about how, so a man buys his home, I guess kind of like not a dream home, but like a vacation home sort of in retirement. And on the first day that he gets there, he dies. And so you're then following, I guess, his wife and his kids as they come together at this house. And it's really about them trying to become understood. I think that they're all very, very different people. And they are looking for a way, I guess, to kind of find like a common link. And that's what this story is about. I love a good family drama, a good family saga. And there you go, Gins. Okay, one that I'm sure a lot of people have heard about. I have in fact heard of this book, and that is The Imposium, written by Olga Tokarczuk, and it has been translated from the Polish by Antonia Lloyd-Jones. This is one that is now on my TBR. I do believe it has technically been classified as a horror. It is a, what's it called? It's like a resort health horror story or something like that. And it is set on the eve of World War I. I have actually not read from Olga before, but she is an author that is continuously put on prizes all over the place. And so I think it's time for me to give her a go. I'm curious about this one because it is a horror. We'll see how I feel as I get through it, but it is definitely on my TBR. And if you've read from her before, let me know what your favorite is, because I know she's written some pretty chunky books. I don't think this one is as large, but like I said, I'm really looking forward to reading this because I would love to be able to find an author in translation that I can consistently go to who has a backlist if I enjoy their writing. We have Francis Bacon's Nanny, and this is written by Melis Becerri and translated by Eliona Ni Roydane from the French. And I believe, it seems like it's possible this is part of a series. I'm not totally sure. Some of these books I believe are parts of series. Finding information about all these books was a little challenging at times just because I don't think all of them are available right now in the States. And so I had to do a little bit of digging. But it seems like in this case, it's possibly the final of a trilogy, and you are, like, I believe, following the story of a nanny of a writer. And I think that most of the books have been following the writer, and now you are following a different character. It was a little confusing. I couldn't totally piece it together. It's not a book that I am able to get at this point, but if you know anything more about this series or anything, I would love to know. If you could tell me in the comments, I would really appreciate it, because I struggled figuring this one out. But Francis Bacon's Nanny. Got a really interesting title anyways. Okay, we have Too Great a Sky, written by Lily Anna Korobka, and it is translated from the Romanian by Monica Cure. And this one is about the deportation of Romanians from Bukovina and how to maintain humanity in impossible situations. I believe there is some experimentation in the prose of this book. The way they were talking about it, I think there's some like songs and prayers and poems kind of written throughout it. And it seems like she just gets a little bit more experimental in the way the story is told. That doesn't always work for me as a reader personally, but I do know that last year there was a book on this list called, oh gosh, I don't remember what it was called, Aidnon or something like that. And it was a book written in verse, and I loved it. I have never enjoyed a book written in verse before, but this one was spectacular. So I would definitely be willing to give it a go. It's not a book that I can get my hands on currently, but if you'd like to read books with a little bit more, just not your standard narrative tone and narrative style, this could definitely be one worth checking out. Hungry for What? By Maria Bastario and translated by Kevin Jering Dunn. I wrote these yesterday, and so my handwriting was not the greatest, but I am including pictures of the books on the screen. I really apologize if I have just gotten names totally wrong. And this was translated from the Spanish, and this is a short story collection which focuses on the terror of normality. And I found that, just as a description, to be really interesting because I have no idea where it's going to go. But it is definitely, I'm not a short story collection person typically. I just haven't found the one that keeps me entertained through the entire book. There'll be really highs and then lows, and for me, normally it's more lows than highs in short story collections, but Terror of Normality seems like a fascinating way to try to sell a book. Okay, we have Lies and Sorcery by Elsa Morante, translated from the Italian by Jenny McPhee. And this is the author that I was telling you about, that I believe the book has been out for a very, very long time. I'm assuming in Italian, if not other languages. And it follows 3 generations of women in Sicily. And I'm assuming, I think you're following like one person through it, but she must like learn stories or something along the way. I do have this waiting for me at the library right now because I've seen this title now a couple of times through the year, and I didn't realize it was newly translated into English because it looks like, the cover looks like a classic. And so I assumed we'd had it around for forever. I just hadn't heard of it before, but no, I guess it's new to English. And she is the author that a lot of people are like, how do English readers not know about her? So I'm excited to give it a go. My Secret Life by Christina Toth, translated by George Sintez from the Hungarian. And this is a book of poetry. I don't think I know exactly what it is that it's about or what kind of the subject matter that it covers is, but poetry, there you go. If you're a poet person, check it out. Phantom Pain Wings by Kim Hyo-sun, translated from the Korean by Dawn Mi Choi. And this is another book of poetry, and it focuses more on war trauma and collective grief. So I guess this must, again, touch on kind of aspects of the Korean culture that I don't know very much about. And again, I always find that very interesting. Written in poetry form is not always my strong suit. I struggle with poetry quite a bit, but there you have it. Translation of the Root, written by Laura Wither and translated by Juana Adcock from the Spanish. Another book of poetry, and this is about love, discovering self, and marriage. We have Un Amor by Sarah Mesa, translated from the Spanish by Katie Whitmore. And this is about desire and small town unease. This, I believe, is just a fiction novel, and I can't remember exactly what it's about, but it sounded really interesting. I always think kind of the small town story point of view is interesting. I grew up in a very, very small town, and so I think because of my personal experiences with it, when I read some books, I'm like, oh, you guys are romanticizing the small town to all high heaven. And then other times I think, I don't think we were that sinister. So it's just, for me, a story that I find kind of compelling just because of my own personal experience. And so this is one that I would love to see sometime, but again, isn't one that is available to me at this point. There is Vanishing Points by Lucia Stopica and translated from the Slovenian by Audrey Peric. And this is a book of poetry about love, loss, and mystery. For me, I find kind of the love loss thing to be a very, very common topic in poetry. And here we go. Here's another book of poems for you to check out should you feel intrigued. And then finally, probably along with Olga, this has got to be the most well-known, for me anyways, is my assumption, most well-known author, because I know that I've seen her books everywhere, and that is We Do Not Part, written by Han Kang, translated by E. Yawan and Paige Anya Morris from the Korean. And this is a friendship between 2 women and reckoning with a hidden chapter of Korean history. This is a book that I actually, I think I have it as an ebook already. I'm pretty sure I was able to just get it. I have read from Han Kang before and enjoyed their work, so I'm going to give this one a go for sure. It's, again, a book that I definitely was aware of when it was released. I just didn't pick it up immediately. She's still not an auto go-to author for me, but maybe this book will change my mind. Anyways, this is just a really quick video to talk about a prize that I think deserves a little bit more time. And while I'm not going to be the one that gets it into the spotlight, if I can get it out to one more person, I'd be pretty stoked about that. So definitely go check out their website, the Warwick Prize in Translation, the Warwick Prize for Women in Translation, and see if there's any books that appeal to you, because it's just a good time. So there you have it. I hope you all have lovely days, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.